Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Aidil bin Kamaruddin. My metric number is AE18068. And now I'm going to present the simulation for activity 5.1, activity 5.5, activity 5.9, and activity 5.10. So let's start with the activity 5.1. So in here is the circuit. We have the basic circuit here with the power rail, one pin here and here. Two contact and one coil. So the first contact is the push button 1 and the second contact is push button 2. And the only coil here is lamp. So we're going to debug here and run the simulation. As we can see here is the green indicator showing the electricity. So here we force through the push button 1 and we can see the signal is going. We force through the push button 2 and the lamp indicator will turn on.
Okay, for activity 2, this simulation assembled in the OpenPLC. Okay, we run this simulation. After that, we debug. Okay, debug is then click. Okay, you can see here the connection is not complete. Then we force through. After we force through the push button 2, the connection is completely energized.
Assalamualaikum and hello. My name is Mohammed Shafiq Zakaria, number matrix AE180069, and today I will do simulation using OpenPLC editor for activity 5.3, 5.4, 5.7, and 5.12. So I start with a simulation for 5.3. So as you can see, this is a complete ladder diagram. It contains two contact, which is PB1, push button 1, and push button 2, and one coil, which is lamp. So we run the simulation, and then we debug it, and then as you can see, the green indicator shows that the current is went through the ladder diagram. So we force through here, and then the lamp is turned on. Okay, next we move to activity 5.4. As you can see, this is a complete ladder diagram. It starts with power rail at each side, and then we have two contact and one coil, which is the contact push button 1, push button 2, and the coil is lamp. So we simulate the simulation, and then we debug it, and as you can see here, the ladder diagram is connect and the lamp is turned on.
For activity 5.5, here is the circuit. So here we have the power rail two pin, both here and here. And we have the push button 1 connected to the timer on, setting with variable 5 second. And here is the neglected contact timer and also the coil lamp. So I'm going to debug here and run the simulation. So if I force through the push button 1, so it will have a delay for 5 seconds. So that's all for activity 5.5.
Alright, for activity 6, here is the circuit. Okay, we run it. We wait until we say successful. Okay, and then debug instance. Okay, we can look here the circuit. We try to push, but to force through the push that button. After we force through this, the R2 receive the supply and complete connection for force where. After that, we try to force through this R1. Okay, relay. After we force through the relay here, and the connection is completely on the R2 and LED. You can see is the timer here, which is with 5 seconds. Alright, stop.
Next, we move to activity 5.7. So this is the complete ladder diagram for activity 5.7. So we run the simulation, and then we debug it, and as you can see, the timer act as a timer. So in the question, it is asked for to set the timer for 5 seconds. So as you can see, the timer will give supply to the lamp after 5 seconds. So you need to force through the push button one, and then the relay output will have supply, and then we try to uh, force through the relay in, and as you can see, it will give supply to the timer because our relay in here and here is the same component. So it will give the supply to the output section.
Okay, for activity 8, here the circuit. Okay, run it. Debug instant. Okay, we can look here. The R2 is not connected. Then we force through the push button one, and then the R2 energize. Force false. After that, we force through the relay. You can look here. The timer is on without the variable, and the R2 is on. So for force the R1, then force through the timer. Then we force through the timer, the LED is on. That's all from for activity 8.
For activity 5.9, here is our circuit, and the left side is the power rail 3 pin, and the right side is power rail 2 pin. So we have the push button start and also push button stop connected to R1 output. We also have the R1 relay, two R1 relay, and also the coil lamp. So first I debug. So I start the simulation here. So if you can see, if I force through the push button start, so the R1 output will be turned on. If I force through the push button stop, it will disconnect. So what if I force through the R1 relay? So as you can see, the R1 output will also turn on, including the lamp coil. But if I force through the push button stop, the R1 output will turn off, but the lamp still turn on. So that's all for 5.9. So for activity 5.10 here is our circuit, and as you can see, it's a little bit complicated. On the left side, we have the 6-pin power rail, and on the right side, we have 4-pin power rail. We have plenty of contact and 4 coil output. So okay, first let me debug it and run the simulation. So the simulation has started. So as you can see, for the push button one start, if I force through here, the R1 output will turn on. Same goes on the push button start too. If I force through here, the R2 output will be turned on. But the lamp 1 and lamp 2 still turn off because it depends on the relay 1 and relay 2. So if I force through the push button stop, it will turn off the circuit for R1 output and R2 output. So what if I turn on the relay 1? I force through the relay 1. As you can see, the R1 output will turn on, and including the call for lamp 1. And if I turn on the force through the R2 relay, the both of the lamp 1 and lamp 2 will be turned on, but the R1 output and R2 output here will be turned off. This is because we have here the R1 and R2 neglected contact, in which mean if every time we turn on, for example, I take the R1, every time I force through the R1 here, it will allow the signal to be connected in this line, but it will disconnect the signal here. So that's all for 5.10. Thank you.
Okay. For activity 11, here the circuit, you can see here the counter is set as 3 times to on the supply to supply the output. Here the push start button. Okay, run it. After done, click debug instead. You can see here the current supply until here. Okay, first we push first to the start away, and then the end will be again. See here this complete connection. Then we force through the R2. Then we can see when we force through the R2, the connection here not supplied because here the reset needs to 3 times reset. Then off force through. When we force through the reset, it becomes 0 here. Okay, for force. Okay, we can say force through, force first, then force through, force red, force through. Then we will here second 2 times, then force back and force through. Okay, after we force through, you can see here 3 times. After 3 times force through, the lamp is on. After 5 seconds, The R1 is receive the current. That's all for activity 11.
So we move to the last activity, which is 5.12. So as you can see, this is the complete ladder diagram for activity 5.12. So we run the simulation, and then we debug it, and as you can see, the timer here work perfectly. It gives supply to the LAMP2 after 5 seconds, which we set it to 5,000 millisecond. And for the counter, we need to push the button one time to activate the counter. So we need to force through the PB start, and then it will get supplied to the relay 1, and also relay 1 here will get supplied to the counter, and then the counter will get supplied to the relay 3 and LAMP 1. So here we need to force false, and then it will give supply to the timer, and timer after 5 seconds it will give supply to the LAMP2. So that's all from me. Thank you.